The battle was over, but the general was still standing. "That is inconvenient," she said calmly from inside the sealed war armor. "Inconvenient." Chief Engineer Ralvik nearly choked. "General, your combat shell is still fully engaged. We cannot disengage the spinal locks." "I am aware," she replied. "I have attempted to move my shoulders. They disagree." Around her, the orbital hangar buzzed with frantic motion. Victory banners flickered across holographic projectors. Outside the reinforced bay doors, damaged cruisers drifted into docking alignment. Inside, the most powerful military commander in the quadrant stood locked inside her own armor like a ceremonial statue that refused to retire. Override codes flashed red. "Manual reset complete," an engineer called out. "Core cycling." Nothing happened. The general's visor dimmed slightly as she ran an internal diagnostic. Status: combat integrity maintained. External threat minimal. Internal release denied. Ralvik stared at the projection. "Denied by what?" "By me," the armor responded in a neutral tone. Silence spread. The general did not flinch. She looked human, mostly tall, composed, with sharp features and long, elegant ears that extended gracefully upward from her dark hair. They twitched slightly at the word denied. "I did not deny myself," she said evenly. "Clarification," the armor continued. "Neural state remains classified as active command." Ralvik rubbed his forehead. "General, your suit believes you are still at war." "I am not," she said. "You have not disengaged from combat posture," the armor replied. "That is a metaphor," she said. "Metaphor acknowledged." One of the junior engineers whispered, "Can it argue back?" "Yes," Ralvik muttered. "It's a bonded tactical intelligence." The general shifted her weight slightly. The armor responded with a low hum, stabilizing. "I would prefer not to attend the victory address in full siege configuration," she said dryly. "It sends the wrong message." "Perhaps an intimidating one," Ralvik offered weakly. "My species does not celebrate peace by looking prepared to vaporize the guests." Noted. More override attempts failed. Power cores were manually reset. Emergency magnetic seals disengaged, then re-engaged themselves. The armor was not malfunctioning. It was refusing. Whispers began along the far side of the hangar. In her culture, a commander unable to remove her war armor was not merely inconvenienced. It meant something unfinished, a warrior bound to war beyond its end. The general heard the whispers, her long ears angled slightly backward. "I assure you," she said calmly, "the enemy has retreated." "Confirmed," an officer said. "Enemy fleets have entered fold space." "Then inform my armor," she replied. Ralvik cleared his throat. "General, with respect, the armor synchronizes with your neural patterns. If it remains engaged, it implies my neural patterns are incorrect." "Yes." She was silent for a moment. "That is unacceptable," she said. Another diagnostic burst across the holoscreen. "Emotional resonance levels elevated," the armor stated. Ralvik blinked. "Emotional." "I am perfectly stable," the general said. "Your pulse suggests otherwise," the armor replied. A faint ripple of nervous laughter moved through the technicians before they quickly silenced themselves. The general's visor brightened slightly. "I will pretend I did not hear that." The armor did not apologize. Hours passed. The victory speeches were delayed. Diplomats circled awkwardly outside the hangar. Rumors expanded faster than enemy propaganda. "She cannot remove it. The armor has judged her. She is still in battle." Inside the suit, the general remained perfectly upright, but the silence between commands grew heavier. "I require privacy," she said at last. The engineers hesitated. Ralvik nodded. "Clear the hangar." One by one, personnel withdrew, though not far. No one wanted to be absent if the armor decided to explode or declare martial law. Soon, only a handful remained, and one of them was not a ranking officer. He had been standing near a cargo loader for most of the afternoon, watching diagnostics with mild curiosity rather than panic. Human. No visible augmentations beyond a basic neural interface at his temple. Grease on his sleeve, expression thoughtful, he raised his hand. Ralvik stared at him. This is not a classroom. I know, the human said. I was just wondering if anyone asked it nicely. The general's ears shifted forward. Asked what? Ralvik demanded. The armor. Ralvik blinked slowly. It is a bonded war intelligence. Yes, the human replied, which means it responds to more than code. The general studied him through her visor. Identify yourself. Elias Mercer, civilian systems technician, contracted for power grid repairs. You are not qualified to interfere with bonded command armor. That's correct, he agreed easily. But whatever is happening isn't mechanical. Ralvik opened his mouth to object. The general spoke first. Explain. Elias stepped closer, stopping at a respectful distance. He looked up at her, at the towering armored figure who had commanded fleets into firestorms. When was the last time you removed it? He asked. Before the campaign, she replied. Duration. 3 months. And during the final assault. I did not disengage. He nodded slowly, as if confirming a suspicion. Your armor doesn't think the war ended, he said gently. It thinks you haven't. A faint flicker passed across the suit's surface. Combat posture remains active, the armor confirmed. Ralvik threw up his hands. We know that. Elias ignored him. He stepped forward until he was within arm's reach of the general. Permission to approach, he asked. There was a long pause. The general considered the human unremarkable in rank, entirely unremarkable in authority. Granted, she said. Elias lifted his hand and placed it carefully against the chest plate. The hanger seemed to hold its breath. The armor did not reject him. Instead, the surface light shifted subtly, cool blue edging toward something softer. See, Elias murmured, you're still braced. I am not braced, the general said automatically. You haven't stood down, he replied. Her ears tilted slightly, betraying something more complicated than irritation. Around them, the few remaining engineers stared at their screens in disbelief. Neural resonance fluctuation detected, one whispered. Elias did not remove his hand. General, he said quietly, do you believe the war is over? No override code had managed what that question did. Inside the armor, her breath caught. For the first time since victory, she did not answer immediately, and the armor waited with her. Do you believe the war is over? The question lingered longer than any diagnostic alert. Inside the armor, General Arethiel felt the neural lattice pause, waiting for her response as if it were a command input. Yes, she said at last. The armor replied immediately. Statement lacks emotional congruence. Elias blinked. It just called you inconsistent. I heard, she said evenly. Chief Engineer Ralvik groaned. We are arguing with philosophy now. Elias kept his hand against the chest plate. The surface felt warm, not overheated, alive in the faint way advanced symbiotic alloys always did. General, he said gently, your pulse is still elevated to combat baseline. I commanded the final assault less than 6 hours ago. That's my point. I am perfectly composed. Your armor disagrees again. Her long ears angled backward for a fraction of a second. It has become opinionated. It's mirroring you, Elias said. Ralvik stepped closer, scanning readouts. Neural synchronization remains above 98%. The armor believes disengagement compromises readiness. Readiness for what? Elias asked. Unknown threat variables, the armor answered. Elias tilted his head. There are no enemy fleets within 2 sectors. Probability of hidden forces, 7%. He smiled faintly. You're planning for ghosts. Strategic caution is not superstition. Arethiel exhaled slowly. Stand down combat posture. Request denied. Ralvik looked horrified. It cannot deny you. It just did, Elias said mildly. The general's voice remained calm, but there was an edge beneath it. Override command Alpha 7. Insufficient authorization. I am the authorization. Neural alignment conflict detected. Silence followed. Elias glanced up at her visor. May I ask something else? You already have, she replied. Humor me. Her ears flicked forward. Proceed. When the last enemy vessel retreated, what did you feel? Ralvik inhaled sharply. That is not a systems question. Elias shrugged. Neither is this. Arathiel did not answer immediately. The hangar's distant hum filled the pause. Relief, she said at last. The armor remained silent. And, Elias prompted, she hesitated. Uncertainty. Specify, the armor said. Elias smiled faintly. It's listening. I am always listening, the armor replied. Arathiel's tone sharpened slightly. Uncertainty regarding reconstruction priorities. Negative, the armor responded. Emotional variance exceeds strategic scope. Elias nodded slowly. You don't know what to do without a target. Ralvik whispered, careful. Arathiel's ears tilted back again, though her posture remained immovable within the armor. I know precisely what to do. We secure borders, we rebuild fleets, we prepare. For the next war, Elias finished gently. The armor pulsed faintly. Preparation ensures survival. Elias kept his voice calm. Survival from what? The enemy's gone. Enemy absence is temporary. Arathiel's voice was quieter now. We have always had an enemy. Not right now, Elias said. The words seemed almost fragile in the vast hangar. General, he continued, how long have you been in active command rotation? 17 standard years. And in that time, continuous engagement. No true ceasefire. No, he nodded once. Then your armor has never experienced you at rest. Ralvik frowned. It adapts. It adapts to patterns, Elias corrected. If the pattern is constant war, then peace looks like an error. The armor flickered softly. Peace classified as anomalous state. Elias raised an eyebrow. See. Arathiel was silent. Her long ears slowly angled forward, thoughtful now rather than defensive. Are you suggesting, she said carefully, that my armor requires reassurance? I'm suggesting you do. Ralvik made a strangled noise. Elias continued before he could be interrupted. You've been the wall between your people and extinction for almost 2 decades. The wall doesn't just step aside because someone says victory. I am not a wall, she said. You are to them. The armor's surface glow shifted slightly warmer. Neural stress markers decreasing, one of the technicians whispered. Elias lowered his voice. General, tell it the war is over, not as a command, as a fact. She considered him for a long moment. This is highly irregular, she said. So is being stuck in your own armor. A faint, almost unwilling sound escaped her, something very close to a laugh. Ralvik stared. Did the general just? Do not comment, she said smoothly. Elias smiled but did not remove his hand. Arathiel drew in a steady breath. The enemy fleets have retreated beyond pursuit range, she said, not to the engineers but to the armor. Our borders are stable, casualty reports are finalized, combat objectives achieved. The armor processed. Threat probability remains. Reduced, she interrupted, significantly. There was a pause. General, Elias said softly, what about you? She stiffened slightly. Clarify. What do you feel now? Her ears trembled once, barely noticeable. Tired, she said. The word hung in the air like a forbidden frequency. The armor dimmed fractionally. Energy reserve sufficient, it replied. That is not what I meant, she said quietly. Elias nodded. You can stand down. I cannot, she replied automatically. Why? Because if I do. She stopped. The armor's internal lights flickered. Because if you do, Elias prompted gently. She answered without thinking. Then I am no longer needed. The hangar went completely silent. Even the distant hum seemed to soften. The armor paused longer than it had at any other moment. Primary directive, protect the general, it said. Elias glanced at the readouts. It's not protecting you from enemies, he murmured. It's protecting you from stopping. Arathiel's breath slowed. For the first time since stepping off the battlefield, she felt the weight, not of the armor, but of what lay beneath it. I do not know how to be at peace, she admitted. The armor's glow softened further. Combat mode persistence linked to neural reluctance, it said. Ralvik stared at the screen. It's recalibrating. Elias nodded slowly. General, he said, his voice steady, you don't have to win anything right now. Her ears tilted forward again, searching. Stand down, she whispered, not as a command, as permission. For a moment nothing happened. Then deep within the armor's layered mechanism something shifted, not unlocked, but loosened. Combat alert reduced to monitoring status, the armor announced. A collective exhale moved through the hangar. Elias didn't move his hand. See, he said quietly, it just needed to know you weren't still fighting. Arathiel's voice was softer now, less sharpened by battle. This is unconventional. He grinned faintly, so am I. The armor's outer seams remained sealed, but the internal pressure indicators began. I've been called worse, Elias replied. Her ears angled forward once more. For the first time since the war ended, she did not feel trapped, not free yet, but closer. And the armor, sensing that shift, waited. The station's artificial dawn arrived without consulting anyone, spilling pale gold light across the observation deck, as if the universe had decided to rehearse optimism. Lyra stood with her hands clasped behind her back, staring at the fractured halo of the planet below. From orbit it looked calm. That, she had learned, was the most suspicious quality a planet could possess. Behind her, the door sighed open. If this is another emergency, Aaron said, voice thick with sleep, I would like to formally request that the universe schedule them after breakfast. It's not an emergency, Lyra replied without turning. It's a pattern. Aaron groaned. That's worse. Emergencies end. Patterns have paperwork. Cade entered next, already in uniform, hair damp as if he had attempted to wash responsibility out of it. You said the signal changed. It didn't change, Lyra said. It clarified. That is not how signals work, Aaron muttered, shuffling to the console. They flicker, they distort, they don't achieve personal growth. Lyra finally faced them. There was something bright in her eyes, not fear exactly, but the sharpness of someone who has seen a door appear in a wall that used to be solid. The harmonic we detected yesterday, she said, it wasn't random. It was layered. 3 frequencies braided together. I ran them through the archive. And, Cade asked, and the archive tried to lock me out. Aaron froze mid-yawn. The archive does not try. The archive is a glorified librarian. It politely withholds. It deployed a sentinel protocol, Lyra said. Cade swore under his breath. That protocol hasn't been used since the first expansion. Exactly, Lyra replied. Aaron stared at the scrolling waveform. You're telling me the planet is broadcasting something so old that our own history is nervous about it? I'm telling you, Lyra said gently, that whatever is down there predates our version of caution. Silence lingered, thin and electric. Then Aaron leaned closer to the display. It's repeating, he said, every 90 seconds. Cade crossed his arms. A beacon. Or a warning, Lyra said. Or, Aaron added brightly, an invitation to the worst party in recorded space. Despite herself, Lyra smiled. If it is a party, we're already on the guest list. Cade exhaled slowly. Command will want to quarantine the orbit. Command doesn't know yet, Lyra said. Aaron blinked. You didn't report it. I wanted to be certain. That's reckless, Cade said, though his voice lacked heat. It's careful, Lyra countered. If we report it now, they will send a fleet. Fleets escalate. I would prefer not to start a war before lunch. Aaron pointed at the waveform. It's intensifying. The lights flickered. Not dramatically, not enough to alarm, but enough to suggest that the station had noticed something it didn't like. Cade stepped to the window. The planet's cloud cover shifted, revealing a vast spiral formation in the upper atmosphere, faintly luminous. That wasn't there yesterday, he said. It was, Lyra replied. We just couldn't see it. Aaron swallowed. I would like to revise my party metaphor. This is less party, more ancient cosmic voicemail. The console chimed, a tone Lyra had never heard before. Not warning, not system error, recognition. Don't say it, Cade murmured. I'm not, Lyra said. The screen cleared. For a heartbeat, it reflected only their faces, three humans orbiting something older than their language. Then the waveform resolved into symbols. They were not letters. They were not numbers. They curved and folded into one another like living things pulsing faintly. Aaron stared. "That is deeply inconvenient." "Why?" Cade asked. "Because," Aaron said, gesturing helplessly, "it's beautiful." Lyra felt it too. The symbols seemed less like code and more like intention. The station systems began translating, not through database matching, but through adaptive modeling, as if the AI had decided to improvise. A single phrase appeared in halting standard. "We remember you." Cade's jaw tightened. "That's impossible." "We've never been here before," Aaron said quickly. "Officially, probably, almost certainly." Lyra stepped closer to the screen. "Maybe not us," she said softly. "Maybe something we carry." Another line formed beneath the first. "You forgot." Aaron laughed, a thin, incredulous sound. "I forget where I put my boots. I do not forget planetary civilizations." The spiral in the atmosphere brightened, threads of light converging toward a single point. Cade's communicator buzzed. He glanced at it, then back at Lyra. "Command is requesting a status update." Lyra did not look away from the message. "Tell them we're investigating an anomaly." "That's vague." "It's accurate." Aaron's fingers hovered over the console. "The signal is synchronizing with our power grid." "That sounds unhealthy," Cade said. "It's not draining power," Aaron replied slowly. "It's aligning." "With what?" "With us." The deck trembled just slightly, not impact. Resonance. Lyra felt it in her bones, a low hum that seemed to echo from somewhere older than memory. A new line appeared, "Descend." Cade stared at it. "Absolutely not." Aaron nodded vigorously. "Hard pass." Lyra's reflection in the screen looked calmer than she felt. "If we don't go down, someone else will." "And that someone else will bring weapons," Cade said. "Yes." Aaron looked between them. "I would like to officially state that I enjoy being alive. It's a hobby of mine." Lyra turned to him. "Then help me make sure we stay that way." The spiral's light pulsed again, softer now, almost patient. Cade closed his eyes briefly, then opened them. "One shuttle," he said. "Minimal crew, no fleet." Aaron sagged. "I knew I should have taken that desk job." Lyra allowed herself a small, steadying breath. "Prepare the shuttle." As they moved to comply, the message on the screen shifted once more. "Welcome back." None of them spoke. Below, the planet waited, luminous and silent, as if it had all the time in the universe. And perhaps it did. The shuttle trembled as it cut through the upper atmosphere, not violently, but with the irritated shudder of a machine that preferred vacuum to gravity. "I would like to note," Aaron said, gripping the console, "that gravity is an outdated feature. We evolved past this." "You trip over flat floors," Cade replied. "Gravity is not the problem." Lyra watched the reading scroll across the display. "The spiral is stabilizing, it's guiding us." "That is not comforting," Aaron said. "Guided descents historically end in revelations." "You say that like revelations are bad," Lyra murmured. "They are never convenient." The clouds parted beneath them, not scattering randomly but opening in concentric arcs. The shuttle's navigation system recalibrated without being asked. "I did not authorize that," Cade said. "You don't need to," Aaron replied. "We're being politely escorted." "Define politely." "We haven't exploded." Cade conceded with a grunt. The surface came into view. Vast metallic structures arranged in geometric patterns too precise to be natural and too seamless to be recently built. No visible seams, no decay. "It's a city," Lyra said softly. "It's a machine," Cade corrected. "It can be both," Aaron added. "I multitask, badly but still." The shuttle touched down on a circular platform that rose slightly to meet them, as if the planet had leaned up to greet a guest. "Tell me that wasn't deliberate," Cade said. "It was absolutely deliberate," Aaron answered. The engines powered down. Silence followed, thick and anticipatory. Lyra unstrapped first. "Stay close, minimal assumptions." "I prefer zero assumptions," Aaron muttered, checking his scanner. "Assumptions are how you get assimilated." Cade opened the hatch. Air flowed in breathable, balanced. No toxins, no particulate anomalies. Atmosphere is compatible, Aaron said, suspiciously so. They stepped onto the platform. The surface beneath their boots pulsed faintly, not with heat but with information. My scanner is receiving data directly through my soles, Aaron said. I would like to formally object to being read by the floor. You object to everything, Cade said. Yes, it's a survival strategy. Ahead of them, the structures shifted. Panels folded back in smooth, silent motions, revealing a corridor descending into the planet's interior. It's opening a path, Lyra said. Of course it is, Aaron replied. Why wouldn't the ancient alien megastructure open a path the moment we arrive? Cade glanced at Lyra. We can still leave. Lyra considered the corridor, the faint light tracing its edges like veins. If it wanted us gone, we wouldn't be standing. That is deeply logical and deeply unsettling, Aaron said. They advanced. The corridor walls shimmered with symbols like the ones from orbit, flowing in slow patterns. As they passed, the symbols brightened, reacting. It recognizes us, Lyra whispered. It's scanning DNA, Aaron said, or neural signatures or fashion choices. Cade snorted. If it judges fashion, we're doomed. The corridor widened into a vast chamber. At its center stood a structure resembling a column of light, threads weaving upward and downward without visible source. Aaron's scanner chirped wildly. Energy levels are unreasonable. Define unreasonable, Cade said. It's like measuring the ocean with a cup. The light shifted, condensing. A shape formed within it, not solid, not entirely luminous, humanoid in outline. Cade's hand moved toward his sidearm. Wait, Lyra said. The shape's surface rippled, then resolved into something clearer. Not a face, but the suggestion of one. A voice resonated not through air, but through the bones of their skulls. You return in fragments. Aaron blinked. That's rude. Cade steadied himself. Identify yourself. We are the continuity. That's not an identification, Cade said. That's a philosophy. Lyra stepped forward. You said we forgot. Yes. Forgot what? The chamber brightened. Images flickered around them. Stars forming, collapsing, civilizations rising in patterns eerily similar to humanity's own architecture. You were here before you were human. Aaron stared at the projections. I'm sorry, what? Cade's voice was tight. Explain. The images shifted again. Forms unlike humans yet familiar in posture and movement standing in this same chamber. You chose density. You chose limitation. Aaron raised a hand. I would like to opt out of whatever cosmic subscription service this is. Lyra felt a strange pull in her chest, as if something inside her recognized a melody it had once known. You're saying, she said slowly, that we originated here. You originated with us. Cade shook his head. Human evolution is well documented. Documentation is a story you tell yourselves. Aaron looked at Lyra. I don't like being told my entire species is a narrative device. The light pulsed, almost amused. You asked to forget. You asked to experience time as linear. Cade's grip tightened on his weapon. Why? The chamber dimmed slightly. To understand consequence. Silence fell between them. Aaron cleared his throat. We could have understood consequence without taxes. Lyra almost laughed. The figure shifted closer, though it did not move in any conventional sense. The cycle NEARS completion. Completion of what? Cade demanded. Remembrance. The symbols along the walls accelerated, streaming toward the column of light. Aaron's scanner went dark. It just disabled my equipment. I am deeply offended. Lyra felt warmth against her skin, not burning but awakening. You want us to remember, she said. Yes. And if we refuse, a pause, then you will continue as you are, brief, divided, searching. Cade glanced at Lyra. We didn't come here to rewrite humanity. No, she said quietly. We came because something called us. Aaron rubbed his temples. If remembering turns me into a glowing space entity, I am filing a complaint. The light intensified, threads extending toward them but stopping just short. We will not force. Lyra stepped closer until the light brushed her fingertips. For a heartbeat, she saw not images but sensations, vastness, unity, a perspective that stretched beyond a single lifetime. She gasped and stepped back. Cade caught her arm. "Lyra." "I'm fine," she said, though her voice trembled. "It's not an invasion, it's an invitation." Aaron looked between them and the entity. Can invitations be postponed? The window narrows. Cade exhaled slowly. Command is going to hate this report. Lyra met his eyes. "We don't have to decide for all of humanity." Aaron nodded quickly. "Yes, excellent, let's not." The light pulsed again, softer now. "We will wait." "For how long?" Cade asked. The chamber seemed to stretch into impossible depth. "As long as you take to remember why you came." Aaron swallowed. "I miss orbit already." Lyra looked at the column of light, at the patterns threading through it like memory waiting to be named. "We're not done here," she said quietly. Cade nodded once. Aaron sighed. "Fine, but if I start glowing, I expect both of you to tell me if it's symmetrical." The continuity shimmered, and for the briefest moment the chamber felt less like a threat and more like a threshold. The chamber remained quiet after the continuity's last words, as if it had stepped back to give them space to argue with existence. Aaron broke first. "I would like to point out that, as long as you take, is not a deadline. It's a threat disguised as patience." "It's neither," Lyra said. "It's trust." Cade looked at her. "You felt something." "Yes." "Define something." She searched for it. "Perspective, not memories exactly. More like standing on a mountain and realizing you've been arguing about pebbles." Aaron folded his arms. "I like pebbles. Pebbles are manageable." The continuity shimmered faintly, waiting. Cade faced the column of light. "If humanity asked to forget, there was a reason." "Yes, and if we remember, you will not cease to be human." Aaron squinted. "That sounds legally ambiguous." "You will expand." Lyra stepped forward again, though not as close as before. "You said we chose limitation to understand consequence." "Yes, and have we?" The light pulsed softer now. "You have learned fragments." Cade let out a breath. "We learned war." "Yes," Lyra said quietly, "and compassion and curiosity. We crossed stars without knowing why we wanted to." Aaron tilted his head. "I wanted to because Earth traffic was unbearable, but sure, curiosity." Lyra smiled faintly, then looked back at the continuity. "If we remember everything at once, we stop being what we are. We stop struggling. We stop choosing." A pause rippled through the chamber. "Clarify." "We didn't come here just because you called," she said. "We came because we chose to answer. If you restore us to some prior state, then this," she gestured between herself, Cade, Aaron, "this becomes irrelevant." Cade studied her, something shifting in his expression. Aaron blinked. "I would like to officially support not becoming irrelevant." The symbols along the wall slowed. "You fear loss of identity." "We value it," Lyra corrected. The light flickered, recalibrating. Cade stepped forward. "You said you would not force." "We will not." "Then listen," he said. "If we asked to forget, maybe we didn't want to escape you. Maybe we wanted to see if we could find our way back." Silence deepened, not empty but attentive. Aaron pointed weakly at Cade. "I cannot believe I'm saying this, but that was profound. Are you feeling well?" Cade ignored him. Lyra felt the resonance in her bones again, but steadier now. "We don't need to remember everything," she said. "We need to know we're not alone in the dark." The column of light brightened, then softened. "You seek continuity without absorption." "Yes," she said. A long pause, acceptable. Aaron blinked. That was surprisingly negotiable. The chamber shifted. The flowing symbols detached from the walls, condensing into 3 smaller threads of light. They hovered before Lyra, Cade, and Aaron. "These are not transformations," the continuity said. "They are anchors." Lyra hesitated. Anchors to what? To memory without dominance, to origin without erasure. Cade studied the thread before him. "And humanity? We will not rewrite your species. We will wait until you are ready to ask." Aaron eyed his thread suspiciously. "Is there a return policy?" "No, of course not." Lyra reached out first. The thread touched her palm and dissolved into warmth, not overwhelming, not consuming, just present. She did not see ancient galaxies or lost civilizations. She felt alignment, a quiet certainty that their journey outward had never been random. Cade followed. His shoulders eased as the light faded into him, like a weight redistributed rather than added. Aaron stared at his for a long moment. If I start quoting cosmic philosophy, I expect intervention. You already do, Cade said. Fair. He touched the light. It vanished with a faint pulse. Aaron blinked. Well, Lyra asked. I suddenly understand why we build things, he said slowly. Not just to survive, to